Welcome to the Supercoach Playbook NBA podcast, the SC Playbook NBA podcast. Lots to get to today. First of all, Alex Sumsky, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you, mate?
Very good, very good. You've come in with this glow, this energy about you, this look in your eye, the glint of a man in fine form.
I did have a pep in my step, a little spring in the step when I saw the my results from last week. And look, I don't want to jinx it, because the second you start talking about performance, it's game over. But I had a little bit of a lucky run for sure.
Even more luck as well, which we're going to get to a bit later on. But where are you sitting now? What position are you?
Currently 54th overall. Which is not a bad start to this. It's a long season.
Mate, it's a long season, but it's a great place to be. You'd rather be 54th than 5,400th.
Maybe is that where you are?
That's around where I am.
Hey,
yeah.
mate, that's actually you halved it from last week.
I did. So I'm now sitting. I've actually done a bit better than that. I'm now sitting overall worse than that, 8,050th. So I've come in from 11,000, and considering I lost Josh Giddey last week,
that's tough.
I've got some bad news though. I obviously had Giannis Antetokounmpo in my team. Had the vice captain on him as well.
Yeah.
The Greek freak, and that is such a shame. And the reason why I alluded to you having more luck, you actually didn't have him in your team.
Yes, so I made the choice so it's a little bit unfortunate what kind of transpired.
Yeah.
So and we'll get into all the great performances and the players that stood out massively, and why we brought who in and for what reason, etc.
Yeah.
But I was desperately trying to cut it up and keep my guards intact, keep Giannis on the team, and somehow find a way to get Jalen Johnson in, who is in absolutely fantastic form.
Started the week on fire as well, hasn't he?
Yes, which I'm super happy about. He opened this week on 36 Supercoach points. Very, very serviceable, given he had a break even of 75, I think. So the fact he's halfway there, he's a 4-gamer this week, and we're already well on our way, is a great sign. But I just was like, I can't make this work. I did have Giannis, unfortunately, in my holds list, and changed my mind. You'll know from the group chat, minutes, like 4 minutes before lockout. I was like, you know what, I can't make this work. I was getting FOMO from everyone, including Jalen, in their team. I wanted him in there. I said he was a buy, and I'm like, okay, I've got to put money where my mouth is here, and I moved Giannis out the last minute. Was worried, given that a lot of the top teams, if you look at the ownership of him from top 10, top 5, and top 1%, it just went up and up and up. Top 1%, he was in 75% of teams, and then he obviously had that injury it was halfway through the game, second quarter.
He's out for 1 to 2 weeks as well. So if you're hoping for him to come back this week, that's not going to happen, obviously.
Yes, and I would say even if he does, I'd probably hold. I don't know exactly when. It's obviously a minimum of a week, but there's absolutely no way you'd want him in your team next week either.
Yeah. So you're probably going to rise again this week. So bravo to you, Alex. Things are looking up. One thing as well, speaking of players coming back, LeBron James.
Yes.
Made his return today. Now his price is $18.7 million. So it's well and truly stay away from him. Not even necessarily, he might be worth that in terms of points, but just the risk of him playing games is just too high to keep him in.
Yeah. Well, there was sort of some big things that we touched on all year long. Sorry, when I say all year long, I'm talking about all season long. But when we entered in the lead up to the season and the rest, we were talking about Luka. I love Luka to death. I try and include him in my team as much as possible. He's a great price considering he's where he sits from a scoring perspective. But the big thing that we always said was look out for November 19th, because that is when LeBron is probably going to return, and he has, and that there would be some serious consideration on what Luka was going to be able to bring to the table from a night in, night out points perspective, and whether there'd be a serious dip. Right now, at time of recording, the Lakers are up on the Utah Jazz 135-113. LeBron's obviously subbed out because it's a clear blowout, but he played 29 minutes in his debut. He's at 11 points, 12 assists, 3 rebounds. So, shot 57%. So that's great. But the big thing was how was that? He was going to be either a second or third option. How was that going to affect Luka? Right now, Luka played 35 minutes, subbed off early, 6 minutes left in the game. He finished with 37, 10, 5, shot 50%. So no, it doesn't look like it's going to make any discernible difference for people that are high on Luka and Luka owners and people that want to bring him back in. I think full steam ahead on LeBron. You got to give it like probably at least 2 or 3 weeks before we're doing some serious assessments at that 18 mil price point. Remember, you can get the Jalen Johnsons of the world for 18 mil, and Jalen Johnson right now is putting up prime LeBron numbers. What we're going to get from LeBron, it's hard to say right now.
And he's like the same price as Josh Giddey. I think Josh Giddey's like virtually that exact same price, 18.7 million.
Yeah, that's right.
So would you bring Dončić back in for this week coming then? Or would you wait for that? I think he's got a 3-game week coming up after this week, and then a 4-game week the week after.
You're talking about the Lakers, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think obviously all Lakers players were a sell this week, but Luka's almost an absolute must in my team on those 3 to 4 game weeks. Definitely the 4 games without a doubt. I'm gonna try and bring him back in depending on how things shake out. Obviously, right now it feels like it's just everything's day to day.
Yeah,
like making decisions this early seems almost redundant.
Yeah,
come Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah,
but yes, definitely.
Now, we just spoke about Giannis, and you wrote an article where you said he was a hold.
Yes.
And you then backflipped on the audience and you changed your mind. Do you want to apologise to everyone listening and watching who followed your advice? Because I followed your advice. I kept Giannis and it's cost me dearly. I'm starting to wonder that you're coming on this podcast saying things. Propaganda to then help you in the long run.
I do feel bad that because a few people messaged me about that and thought that it was I'd led them astray. I will preface it by saying that it just moves so quickly that I'm trying to stay fluid with my decision making. The buy sell holds are hard but I'm not on an island with this. I know every single person, every single team manager out there for Supercoach, they're all making last minute decisions. It's once it gets to that 5 minutes before lockout, it's sort of every man for themselves, I think. But Giannis, when healthy, and injuries are a freak thing. He's a must-have in your team on those 3 to 4 games. Right now he's capable of putting up Jokic-esque numbers on any given night. He is looking like a serious MVP candidate for the NBA. He's currently sitting 4th on the ladder, just behind Luka, but could rise to 2. Can be in 1 when he's in form, and so it's not a bum steer. I think Giannis on your usual 3 game weeks, 4 game weeks, you want to hold.
Something else in the article, you had VJ Edgecombe as a hold.
Mm-hmm. I'm still happy.
You're happy with that?
I'm okay. Like I don't know about you because I know you held him.
Well, I've got him. It's just he's not looking as amazing as he looked in those opening few games. That's the only thing that's got me a bit nervous. And maybe my expectations of him are far too high as well.
Yeah, maybe.
But I watched those first few games and it was like watching a young D Wade burst onto the scene, and I was hoping that he'd keep that up. And I'm a little bit worried about Paul George coming back in. And I mean, in all honesty, Paul George looks terrible. Like, it's a shame to say, but he seems very washed.
Let me ask you this. So I agree. Everyone loved VJ. And by the way, I think in his last game, he still had 14, 6, and 6.
Which is a good sign that he's contributing on not just in points, he's also a great playmaker and rebounding as well, which is a good sign.
He brings a lot to the table, but for that $7.5 million or whatever you need to spend on, I mean, most people have just benched him or whatever on their team, and he's been a absolute cash generator for a lot of players. But I don't really have too much concerns. I'm running him for his 4 game week. I have solid expectations of what he's going to be able to deliver. Yes, Paul George is back. I mean, I wasn't particularly nervous when I heard that Paul George was returning, and then he further proved that with his 9-point game on debut. He shoots about 20-30% from the field right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not. And the other thing is, we have to remember, Philly with their injury bug, Do I expect Paul George to remain a consistent fixture in the lineup with his health concerns all year long? No, I don't. I think that he'll be in and out of the lineup. I think he'll be hot and cold. And I think VJ has proved that he's capable of producing at some level. He's got a great ceiling, but I think his floor is healthy even when everyone else is on the court as well.
For sure. Outside of Giannis for Johnson, are there any other moves that you're particularly happy with this week?
I mean, I wasn't sort of breaking the mold in any sort of crazy way. The players that I was mostly looking at are the players that most people were looking at. After the last 2 weeks, if you don't have Jokic.
I mean, if you don't have Jokic and you aren't captaining Jokic, you've got rocks in your head. Yeah,
you're playing a man down.
You need to really reconsider your life choices.
Yes,
and even really the hardest part as well. You see that percentage. You might be a little bit of a maverick and think you can go away from it, but when there's 90% basically of the league captaining Jokic and he's doing what he's doing, you are an absolute numpty if you haven't got the C on it.
There are times when I understand wanting your point of difference. I get that. And those little edges are how people get ahead. Making those decisions around Jokic, that's not it.
Well, even just quickly on that, Denver have a 3-game week next week, and I'm thinking of captaining him even in a 3-game week.
Do it. I debated last week whether I captained him or Luka. I ultimately went with Luka because I'm a bit of a Luka fanboy. Luka was still great. He was still my second highest score for sure, but I missed out on like 80 or 70 points on not having Jokic as captain after captaining him previously, and I've captained him this week, and that's proving to be a good decision so far. I think you're safe with Jokic in your team on 3-game and 4-game weeks, and you're safe captaining him on both of those, no matter who your 4-game players are, even if it's Shea, even if it's Luka. There's going to be a little bit of variance will come into play, but it's never going to be the wrong choice.
Yeah.
I just to give you a little bit of a snapshot, when we and someone messaged in actually the SC Playbook group chat, and I messaged someone because they were like, people were umming and ahhing about this, and I think if you're ever in doubt about this decision, think about the fact that if you were to take every player, 5,500 players in NBA history, every player that has ever played basketball, and backdate their Supercoach scores for every game, every season ever, there is not a player that will have strung together a better Supercoach score over the last 15 games in NBA history outside of cheat codes like Will Chamberlain.
Right.
There is no other human. So 35 points per game, 11 assists, 12 rebounds over the last 15 days. With 4-game weeks are like an absolute guarantee. I think he's the buy of all buys.
Yeah.
Really, you're never making a bad choice. He's basically the best fantasy player of all time.
Of all time, yeah. And he's not forcing it. It's all smooth. It's all good shots. It's all, he just makes the right play every time in his eyes, and that's what he does, and he's so successful. I mean,
we're talking about efficiency, right? And that plays a big part in your Supercoach score. How's this for a stat? 78% he's shooting on 2-pointers.
Insane.
On 2-pointers.
Insane.
Leading the league in rebounds, leading the league in assists, and then Nuggets right now, per 100 possessions, are outscoring opponents by 48 points when Jokic is on the floor.
Just mental.
So you're not going to get really a better player in the modern era than that. So he's a big one, and then obviously the beard, James Harden. We've talked about him on the podcast now for the past 4 weeks. 34, 10, and 9 over the past week. Basically MVP Harden energy. Disguised in Clippers blue, is sort of. That's something that I flagged in the article, I believe. Another 4-game slate this week. I brought him in. The usage bump is looking pretty real. Beal, obviously done for the year, if that matters. He was pretty trash anyway. And then Kawhi, his sort of usual game on, game off. Father Time's definitely caught up with Chris Paul. He's basically,
it's a shame, isn't it? He's shooting like 20% from the field. I love Chris Paul so much as well.
Me
it's
too.
A shame. Obviously, he's going to finish the year with the Clippers, but I can't imagine he goes around again after this year.
Yeah, I think this is the end of an era for him, but right now, with the way that the Clippers are constructed, it's largely going to be Harden or bust for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and Derek Jones now out injured as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, added him to the mix. Jalen Johnson, I mean, I don't know if we even need to. I was telling everyone, like, and they're like, Jalen Johnson or so-and-so, or Scotty Barnes or this or that. I'm like, man, the Hawks are the real deal when Trey's out and Jalen Johnson's, like, running that team.
Yeah.
And look, if I'm the Hawks, this might not happen, but I genuinely think, like, you could move Trey on and seriously get some value and start building around, Johnson. It's, like I said, I joked that he was sort of cosplaying as Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
But 23 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists this week. Hawks won 4 straight.
Yeah. Do you want to see Trey Young, though, with this setup, though, and see how it goes? Maybe. At least a little bit, a few weeks. Because, like,
maybe
he seems engaged on the side. When I'm watching Hawks games, Trey Young seems really engaged while watching them. And, like, I'd love to just see a few weeks of it just before they pull the trigger on trading.
Sure.
Because I know his name's, coming up in trade conversations, but I'd love to just see it. And they seem like they've got the size to cover Trey Young's defensive inefficiencies. I feel like they've got enough nice, big, tall, athletic wings alongside him too can help cover some of that. So I hope they don't trade him for now.
You could be right. I'll just say this. In the games that Trey has played, they've got a losing record. Offensively, they look a bit better without Trey. Never sort of thought I would be saying that. Yes, they can make up for his defensive liabilities there, but they also just don't have the liability to make up for when he's not on the court.
Good point.
So I don't know how it's going to play out. Trade deadline is going to be really, really interesting this season.
Yeah.
But for now, as it stands, Jalen Johnson's a must-have, and then a couple of the others, nothing that everybody doesn't already know because you've seen all the chat. Scotty Barnes, they're starting to cook. Toronto has won 7 of their last 8, and Barnes is averaging 19, 9, and 6 with 4 stocks over that period. It's great that he's sort of the dual point guard, small forward eligibility as well. Tyrese, Maxey, and then Miles Bridges as well is sort of another one to watch. Whether LaMelo or Brandon Miller are in or out, 36 plus minutes per game, 25, 6, and 4 averages. 4-game week coming up that we're in currently. Is sort of the fantasy equivalent of sort of a reliable old Ute. So pretty happy with sort of all those selections.
Yeah, mate, you're on fire. You truly are on fire. Like, we're going to be coming to you all year because I'm starting to think you can win it. I'm starting to think you can actually win the competition.
Don't put that on me.
And I believe in you. I believe you. The man behind basketball forever.
There's too much at play, and I think that this season is so long. Like, consistency helps for sure, but there's you could be great one week and you could be all the way down the bottom 5 weeks later. Depending
if you do win, though, will you post a picture of yourself on Basketball Forever announcing that you're the champion?
If I win, there'll be something. I will do something.
Perfect.
I don't know what it is, but it'll be public and it'll be posted.
Brilliant. A person I would love to speak about quickly, I don't have him in my team, and I wish I did, Dennis Jenkins and the Detroit Pistons. I saw him at $4.3 million, and I nearly brought him in. I think I don't know what I was thinking, honestly, not bring him in. But so the big concern was Cade Cunningham comes back. That's pretty much the end of him. Obviously, they've got Karis LeVert still to come back in. Cade Cunningham comes back in, plays 34 minutes in the starting lineup. Dennis Jenkins also in the starting lineup plays 30 minutes and produces a really good performance. And, I know Karis LeVert was a game time decision. I really want to see what his role is when LeVert comes back. But I'm starting to think, looking at him, he's going to stay in the rotation. He actually can play meaningful minutes for the Detroit Pistons.
If I was a coach, and I'm not, so my opinion is irrelevant, but if it was me making that decision, I'd find a way to keep him in.
Yeah.
Love his game. You definitely a good highlight by you. He was that 4.38 mil. He returned 79 points in week 4.
He's already up to 45 in this week after 2 games for Detroit.
See, people did say that it was unlikely to keep it up with the return of Cade. I think it's more Ivy. That's the concern with him being around the corner. But I think even with Cade in the lineup, even with LeVert, worth riding. The hot hand, cheap price. If he gets another week of action, I I didn't include him in mine, but that's only because I'm so premium heavy. I couldn't afford to be rotating cheapies out.
Yeah.
At least not this week.
Yeah.
But definitely one to watch.
On Detroit as well, Jalen Duren. So Detroit have 4 games next week and 4 games the week after. So 8 games in the next 2 weeks, and he is on fire. He's actually got the most points for the week so far. Obviously, he's played 2 games, but he's on 70 points already this week. I think he's someone that you can look at, especially with Wemby out now, long term, or at least we think it might be long term. Do you bring him in for the next couple of weeks?
You could. It's so hard for me now. I mean, if you're looking at your flex position, I know there are a lot of people that have running, or some people figured out a way, how, I don't know, to do Jokic and Wemby at the same time with Wemby in their flex. If you want to replace it for him, great choice.
Yeah,
I would say. Do you know what his price is?
His price was, I think I'm just checking before, 17 million. I'll just give you the exact price here. He is currently 16.63 million.
I think that's a great price.
Yeah, great price. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're looking ahead to next week, that's a definite option if you're looking. But other than that, if you've got that one spot and you've got the money to spend, I'm not going to be suggesting anyone other than Jokic for that position.
Another player, Steph Curry, has been rocks and diamonds. He's been basically going for 45 or going for 11. He went for 34 points today. However, he tweaked his ankle towards the end of the game. So he's maybe going to miss some time now. He's obviously career's been littered with ankle injuries from the start of his career. So they'll probably be more cautious with him, you would expect at his age. You actually had him as a drop though anyway.
I had him as a drop. So I literally said after he had the 245-point back-to-back performances, I'm like, now's the time to sell, because he has made a career, particularly in the last couple of seasons and last couple of years, of a run like that. He seems to really mid out like in the games following. Like you said, last season in particular, it was super noticeable, really hot and cold. Like you said, it could be 40 points, it could be 9 points. So I did say he was a sell, and then he did follow that up with a really poor scoring performance, and then obviously he promptly did his ankle, like you said. So a good sell option for people that followed that advice. Hopefully, I've redeemed myself for the Giannis call.
You have, mate.
For those that own Steph, but I don't like. I love Steph. I think he's great when he's on. I don't like holding him when he's been performing exceptionally well, because not when he was in 2016, 17, 18, you were going to get that all season long. These days, it's sort of, like you said, comes in ebbs and flows. Yeah. And so I'm just always mindful of that.
If you do want to verse Alex and take him on, you can sign up to the SC Playbook Unlimited League. So basically, you can take on not just Alex, but the whole SC Playbook team for your chance to win $1,000 cash. How bloody good. $1,000 basically goes to the top ranked subscriber. So you have to be a subscriber to win the $1,000. However, if you're a non-subscriber, you can still enter. It's $500 to the winner, and then $500 to the top placed non-subscriber, and the league code's 142510. And if you want to become a subscriber, it is incredibly cheap, and it's not just on NBA, but of course NRL during the footy season, EPL, cricket as well this summer, which I know I'm doing my Supercoach cricket over the summer. Ashes starting Friday as well. But if you'd like to support the SC Playbook team, you can get access to loads of extra premium content when you subscribe via the menu on the website. Tons of premium articles. That's where you'll see Alex's articles. That's where you see, Timmy Williams writing about NRL and cricket, and Rando as well. So yeah, lots in there. There's also an exclusive WhatsApp chat as part of that. And how's this? It's only $2 a week. So it's less than a cup of coffee.
Bang for your buck.
Absolute bargain. Let's go to fixtures for week 6 coming.
What are we looking at here?
So there's do you want me to run you through the 4 game? I can, yeah. So
I know there's plenty of 3 game.
Plenty of 3 games. First of the 2 game weeks, got Orlando and the Wizards on 2 games. So if you have any of those players, it's a sell. And then for the 4 game weeks, you got Detroit, Memphis, the Bucks, Timberwolves, Pelicans, Knicks, Kings, and Raptors.
Wow.
So yeah, as we spoke about before, Nikola Jokic only 3 games. I'm going to tell you this though, I'm captaining them. I'm captaining him with 3 games, especially with Giannis out for the Bucks. Of those 4 game teams, there's not a superstar there in that lineup that I'm like, I have to captain him.
look, you don't need to get so cute. Like, people don't need to get cute with it. Like, what evidence is there to suggest that he's not going to be able to deliver for you as a captain for a 3-game week?
Yeah.
None.
Exactly.
So until, again, we were talking about this last week, but I have strong views held lightly. If there's evidence to the contrary to suggest I go a different direction, sure, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, I love it. 2-game weeks, Orlando Wizards. Do you have any Orlando players?
No Orlando players.
No Orlando players. No Wizard players, I assume?
No Wizard players. I try and shy away from crappy teams when I can.
And explain why. That's just basically because they're tanking and they're going to rest a lot of their guys randomly, aren't they?
It's bad teams seem to introduce variables that I'm like, I can't rely on. So it's just a comfort level that I don't have. And you can sometimes get a lot of volatility, like you said, with even some of the top guys. I remember there was a season when in just traditional fantasy, before Supercoach was anything existed for NBA, when Kyle Kuzma was on the Wizards and I had him in fantasy and he would just like stuff the stat sheet. He was absolutely worth having. And then, of course, when the team ultimately decides to shut down, like you're left holding, the bag.
Yeah.
And so I just don't like having that. I don't like sitting there and having that level of volatility with my guys.
100%, and I'm with you. And that's what I've got Pascal Siakam in a draft league, and I'm going to look to move Pascal Siakam on because the Pacers season is done.
It's done.
It's done.
Yeah.
It's insane how big the fall's been. But yeah, that season's done. If we then look at the teams that do have 4-game weeks, so that's Detroit, Memphis, Bucks, Timberwolves, Pelicans, Knicks, Kings, Raptors. Is there an alternate captain you're looking at from that list of teams?
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
There's no one from that list of teams that I would be considering captaining over Jokic at this stage.
Yeah.
He's just too good right now for me to change my opinion. You're welcome to try and over-egg the pudding. If you want. I know people are looking at, I mean, even when I look at the players that I'm going to be having in my team from those teams, like Scotty Barnes will be one that I might try and bring. He's not in my team right now. I might find an opportunity there, depending on how things shake out and how it works out financially. But over Jokic from a captaincy perspective, I can't even entertain that.
No. Trades then for next week. I feel like we've covered all the big stories from an NBA standpoint, from a fantasy standpoint for this week. Unless there's anything you want to get to before we do trades. If there's anything we missed there.
No. I think we've covered it off pretty nicely.
Trades then. What are you thinking?
Well, again, so early in the piece. I think based on what I've just seen against the Utah Jazz, I think firstly, I think there's a lot of my team that I want to keep intact, but I do think that finding a way to potentially bring Luka back into my team is going to be a must. He seems to have his role solidified even with LeBron, and it looks like there's at least another week or two of LeBron finding his game legs. So that's a big one for me. Obviously, like you said, Orlando and Washington have just 2 games, so there's absolutely no chance of anyone making the squad. Scotty Barnes, sort of one of the few top performers with 4 games in week 6.
Yep.
So he's well and truly, I've got him circled, pending how things go and how the money works out. Randall didn't have a very good game to start this week, but he's one that's sort of been delivering big points, plus the T-Wolves also play 4 games.
Yep.
So we'll be looking at him.
Another one for him, Jaden McDaniels, is questionable for tomorrow.
Yes.
So
that's true.
There might be more opportunity for him as well.
Yes. And then lastly, I've already got Harden in my team. He was super hot in his first game this week. He came out flying and then he cooled off for the rest of the game. Only finished with 23 Supercoach points. So it didn't like just light the world on fire, but serviceable for the price, I guess. But Harden typically, and then Giddey performances are sort of warranting inclusion right now. I've been talking about Giddey for like 4 weeks straight and haven't found a way to get him in because his price just keeps. I missed it. I did say he was a great mini, and then I didn't move on him because I just had other options at the time, and then his prices kept creeping to the point where he's like, every time I want to do it, is a little bit more unaffordable.
Yeah.
it looks like it's just gonna keep trending in that direction. So
it's always a shame when you have an Aussie as well. He's like a genuine superstar. He's a genuine. Giddy's turning into a genuine superstar. You want to have him in your team.
Yeah, I mean, and it looks like he's going to be an all-star this.
Yeah,
you know,
but you could get most improved player.
He should get most improved.
Yeah.
Right now, he is my most improved.
Yeah.
I think it's just, we haven't seen play like this. And then one I'm going to be flagging for a third week in a row. I sound like a broken record at this point, but Mathurin, 10.9 mil, is finally back for the Pacers. So I know we said steering clear of those bum teams.
Yeah.
But once he works his way into sort of match fitness, he could well become a must own for players at that price. Like, only at that price is it worth it, because he is so cheap. He started the season averaging over 30 points per game, and with the Pacers in dire straits in terms of warm bodies, he should get as many minutes as he can handle.
Yeah. I need to sort out my guards a little bit. I've got some. There's some good things happening in my team. So I've got Shea, I've got Shea and Donovan, which is fantastic. But then I've lost faith in VJ Edgecombe. And maybe I'm expecting too much from him. Rollins has been incredible from the Bucks.
I had to move him out.
Okay, so he's, I guess, going to do a bit better the next couple of weeks that Giannis is out. But also, I don't think that's a given that Giannis is out and Rollins performs better. The other ththing I've got to sort out is Giannis. So Giannis is the guy I've got to trade out, and who I bring him in for, I'm going to have a lot of money. So that's kind of the big thing that I've got to look at. And I'm guessing, it's probably Scotty Barnes. The Raptors have 4 games. That's probably who I'll look to get in.
You should. I'll be trying to find a way to make Scotty Barnes work, but like right now, I didn't want to move Rollins.
Yeah.
I like him. I know he was actually one of the most traded out.
He was, which I found bizarre.
Yeah. I'm not sure what that was about. I think people went early there. In the same way that I think people are going early on their VJ assessments. Like, I kept VJ on my team. My guard combination right now is Shea, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, and Edgecombe. So relatively solid there. And then I've got Jokic as my center. My small forwards are Denny, Avdia.
Not the greatest game today from him, but he's managed to get up to 17 points on Supercoach.
Yes, not too bad.
Yeah, not disastrous.
It could have been a lot worse from how it looked like it was trending. Coward, who I've kept, even though he was also one of the more traded out guys.
I did get rid of Cap. Just to free up money to get Jokic, basically. I
understand that.
I flipped him for Bronny James, who's irrelevant, but it was just more to get the money to get
I get that.
Jokic in.
And again, I would have moved, I probably would have moved Coward if the money made sense and I needed someone. And then Jalen Johnson and Lauri Markkanen. And then Cooper Flagg in my flex. Cooper Flagg has been in my flex since day one, and I haven't seen a reason to move him yet.
Yeah. Jump in the comments as well if there's any trades you have questions about. There was a great question. Someone basically said that they're going to get all the big guys. Wemby's obviously injured now, but it was going to be Wemby, Jokic, Giannis. I can't remember who the other person. Maybe Shea. He said he was going to get in, and then the rest of the team was just going to be bums. As a strategy, is that a strategy you think is actually viable? Or is it better to sort of, spread the talent out a bit better than that?
Look, I might be the worst person to ask this question, because when I started, first time playing this format, I was just like, I'm just going to get all the all the premium guys.
Yeah.
And just spread it out with whatever I can find and have a pretty lackluster bench. I've kind of changed that up as time's gone on, because I've been a little bit nervous about not having some diversity. But look, I think at the end of the day, if you want to bank on the reliability of some of those consistent performers in those big names, do it. It's worked so far.
Yeah.
So long as you can bring in at least one player a week that's going to provide you some upside and going to generate you some cash, at least one every week, then I think you should be okay.
Yeah, love it. Well, comprehensive as always, Alex. Well done. I hope we come back here next week and you're sitting in the top 20.
I'd love to be there, but I you know what? We've now mentioned this 3 times on this pod. It's officially jinxed. It's going to collapse from here.
You're a superstitious man, are you?
I am.
Okay.
But that's okay. Right. It's been a good run.
Yeah, it's been a great run. So I guess tomorrow you're going to have Jokic go down with an injury. You're going to have Shea go down with an injury.
Oh, God.
James Harden, Donovan Mitchell.
Now that you've said it, you hopefully reverse jinxed it. So we're
Well, that's what I've done there
We're
for
good.
you. That's
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, anytime.
Good man.
Anytime. Well, that's all from us on the SC Playbook NBA podcast. Alex Sumsky, great job as always. Catch us again next week.